Welcome back to the In Deep End podcast. I am Cosmic.
I'm Shanda.
And go ahead and watch this video for us really quick.
Baby, ever since I saw that girl TikTok video who was like, women don't even walk like women no more, I've been switching my ass off. Remember when we was younger, stop all that switching. Now we walk like grown men who work out 4 times a day. Just back, just bigger, fast. Baby, I'm walking slow. I'm switching. Moving my hair. Yeah. It's time we get back to dilly-dallying around here. Being little ladies. Can we be little ladies around here? I can't wait to go switch again.
So I thought that this video was actually pretty funny, considering an episode that we did a couple episodes back when we were talking about what do you think that we learned from our parents indirectly. Right. So this kind of plays into that. It's kind of almost like, although little girls should not be switching and stuff like that. That's not what I'm saying. But it's funny how it carries over into adulthood with all the other stuff that you learn. And now you have more of a masculine persona. What do you think about that?
You know, this was interesting because I remember my mom telling me stuff like
this. Do you?
Absolutely. Or, you know, putting your hands on your hips.
Uh-huh.
Get your hand. Who do you think you are?
Uh-huh.
I remember all of that. And I am in complete agreement with her. I'm not going to say women aren't women anymore, but we don't have the mannerisms that we once did.
You know what's funny about that?
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was working at a factory at the time. And there was this girl, I forget her name now, but it was like Kai or something, right? She's like 5'2", right? Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because the way she was walking, I went up there messing with her. I was like, what, you want to fight or something? Like, because she's walking like super like
strong.
Yeah, like just super like manly, like she like shoulders all broad. And I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. So it's actually funny that this video she's talking about that because it's true. So no, and that's not every woman, but there are women out there that are like that.
Absolutely. Because either it's a lazy, slouchy walk, mm-hmm. you know, the whole house shoe walk, or it's the emitting masculinity walk. Mm-hmm. You know how the whole argument and the debate about women not being soft anymore, mm-hmm. you know, and I guess a part of that is like this video, because if you are soft inside, you're gonna be soft outside, mm-hmm. and just kind of learn how to work with your body just in daily activity, walking down the street.
I'm confused.
Well,
you said if you're soft inside, you'll be soft outside,
right?
So what do you mean?
Well, if you're okay, you know how they were saying women are not soft, they're like men.
Uh-huh.
So if you're soft inside with your speech, for example, with how you communicate with your man, with how you communicate with your kids, you know, soft in that manner.
So you're saying they should practice those little things and then
of course
work it into their...
And then it not only does it change the inside, but it will also change the outside.
Do you believe that women should be soft? Not I don't want to say it in such a broad term or in such broad terms. What I want to say is, in today's society, do you think women can afford to be soft?
That's a loaded question. My initial answer would be yes, I think women should be softer. That's my initial answer. However, when you think about all of the things that are out in society right now, softer people could potentially get eaten alive.
Right.
However, you know how we as Black people, we know the term code switching? I think you should code switch in your softness also. Knowing how to be soft when it's warranted and know how to say, get the fuck out of my face when it's warranted.
Right.
So if you can learn how to do those things when they're necessary, you're winning.
Right.
Women do need to change. Now, I'm not talking about... I'm
so
saying
too
on
much
a
of
broad
anything
scale.
is a bad thing.
Too much of anything is a bad thing.
Okay,
Correct.
that makes sense. That's fair.
That's
I think that's a
correct.
great way to say that. But I think it's funny, you know, she's getting into her little, I guess, feminine era or whatever, you know. I don't know. I think it's a good thing in her case, you know,
Yeah,
her
we don't know
women's
how
case
to.
in
We
general.
don't know how to work our hips anymore.
Well, then,
you know,
and
as you're walking down the hallway, and you know your husband's looking, or even when you're trying to find somebody, when you get out of the car to go into the gas station, women are just not. You know, we don't know how to work it anymore and work our hair. Well, hell, our wigs this day and age. But you gotta know how to work it. You know, and look nice. You know, the whole batting your eyelashes. What happened to that? We have to kind of bring some of that stuff back and be sexy, you know?
But I think that the problem with that in today's day and age, women don't want to be looked at anymore. They don't want to be viewed as sexy anymore.
And that's true.
They don't want that attention anymore. Whether it be because of essay experiences or whatever. We actually had a video we did recently on, I think it's the Just Say Hi Back, and we had a comment. She was a little upset because she felt like, you know, as someone who's experienced what she's experienced, this is not the attention she wants from men. Men should mind their business, pretty much. And as I said in that video back then, I said, you know, I agree that this is why some women feel the way that they do. But that's also part of the problem, I guess, when you get the whole laziness, slouchy kind of ordeal, not so much the masculine ordeal. It's like they just don't want that attention. They don't want you to view them that way.
And I have to say, you guys, a lot of my opinions are not coming from a person that's my story. I haven't experienced any of those things in life, so I hope nobody gets offended by my opinion. And that's not my intention. It's just that I'm giving my opinion based on my own perspective and living life through my own prism. I do believe that women should get back to women, and I can see how, thank you for bringing that up. I can see how some people might be offended by that perspective. So just so you know, that's not my intention. It's just I'm speaking from my own experience.
Right. And so I don't know. I think the whole thing is interesting. I mean, I'm not a woman, so I really don't have much say here. I want to be clear when I say that. So I'm trying to be cautious of what I say. I love that for her because that's what she wants to do, and she's enjoying it. And you know, I think that that's great. And I think that anybody who agrees with her in this video, that you know, yeah, you know.
I think that we should enjoy our femininity. But that's just me. That's what I think. Because I think that we have wonderful gifts. And if you know how to work them, then, you know, you're winning. But, you know, thinking about that and talking about the commenter and her experience, a lot of women might think that it makes them targets if they flaunt their femininity.
And that's another thing too, because there's a lot of victim blaming going around saying, well, you shouldn't be dressed like that and you shouldn't da 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 da. Now, I'm a victim blamer myself. I'm not gonna lie. It depends on the situation you found yourself in, and did you put yourself in that situation. It had nothing to do with what you were wearing, nothing to do with, you know, but it doesn't make the abuser right either. But in some instances, it's like, bitch, you knew you shouldn't have been jogging at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night.
Right.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
you know the world. You should know the world you live in, you know.
Right.
And I'm not like, so I am a bit of a victim blamer myself, but I know that that other people take it to an extreme.
They do.
Of, you know, well, if you don't want, you know, you don't want me to smack your ass, you shouldn't have half of your cheek out.
Right.
Or, you know, whatever, you know, and that's not okay. But that's an interesting opinion.
Mm-hmm. They may very well feel that way, but outside of all of those horrors in society, I think it's great to enjoy your femininity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, work whatever it is you have. All of us has something that's beautiful, and if we can take pride in that and learn how to work it, it's great. So that's it for me.
Yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. Bye.